Good afternoon, everybody. This is a 3-minute warning. That clock threw me off. Do not look at that clock. That clock is wrong. I need to not look at that clock. That clock is wrong. 3-minute warning. Please find a seat. If you are cold, you have 3 minutes to find a new sweatshirt out in the shameless commerce. What is convention? First and foremost, it's a gathering of the diocese for a time for worship and fellowship and growth in our discipleship as followers of Jesus Christ. We will celebrate the Eucharist, we'll have evensong and evening prayer, and times to have gathering with great food and fellowship and conversation. You will learn something every year. With some resolutions, we will elect people. Most importantly, we'll gather as followers of Jesus Christ as a diocese together, every congregation and the clergy represented, to be together to say, this is the work of the church. Worship, and fellowship, and formation, and a few resolutions and elections. Seal Diocesan Convention. And the 60th Annual Convention of the Episcopal Diocese of Spokane will now come to order, and the chair recognizes the Very Reverend Heather VanDeventer.
Friends, so good to be with you. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Creator, we give you thanks for all that you are and all you bring to us for our visit within your creation. In Jesus, you place the gospel in the center of this sacred circle through which all of creation is related. You show us the way to live a generous and compassionate life. Give us your strength to live together with respect and commitment as we grow in your spirit, as we are curious with one another, and as we are curious to see you in your world. For you are our God, now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Dean. Welcome to your cathedral. Is there anybody here present who has never been in the cathedral before? All right, a couple things important to know. Bathrooms are out in the hallway. There's a secret bathroom behind that wall, sort of if you could walk through Chris Agaboo, you could get to it. And there's even more secret bathrooms upstairs. Yeah, upstairs. Coffee and water. Water's on your tables, but there's also water in the back. There's coffee in the back, and there are snacks in the back.
Feel free to take care of your own needs. Get up and use the facilities when you need to. Get up and replenish fluids when you need to. And as we gather, we are reminded that we are on the traditional land of the Spokane tribe. We pay respect to their people, past, present, and future. May we be courageous to listen to their stories so that we might become better neighbors and work for justice, reconciliation, and the healing of this land. We also recognize that we are gathering during a time when conflict and war is prevalent. At this time, we pray especially for the people of the Holy Land. Let us pray. Eternal God, in whose perfect kingdom no sword is drawn but the sword of righteousness, and no strength known but the strength of love. So spread abroad your spirit, that all people may be gathered under the banner of the Prince of Peace, as children of one Father, to whom be dominion and glory now and forever. Amen. So I'm going to reach forward and turn my cell phone to silent. I encourage you to do the same. And then we're going to just engage in a little bit of table conversation. We didn't assign tables this year. If you are at a table with by yourself, you're encouraged to find a table where there's an empty spot. And we're going to, when I tell you to, we're going to introduce yourself. Simply state your name and congregation. If you are just, a married couple, you don't have to do that. But then you're going to pair up. All right, you're going to pair up. You want to do this in pairs. And you're going to have 10 minutes each to, in pairs, talk about the following questions. These questions are also on the table in front of you. So what do you love? And what have you lost? Where does it hurt? And what do you dream? And that expanded ones like what do you value? What do you struggle to protect? And what do you love? And what have you lost? What keeps you up at night? Where does it hurt? How have you been wounded? And what makes you angry? And what do you dream? What do you hope for the future? Each person has 10 minutes to talk. We will keep time on this. When the time is up, I'll tell you the time is up. During that thing, your other pair is just listening, not interrupting, not me tooing. Just deeply listen, and then give the gift of listening to the person in return. So you're just sharing around those 4 questions. And at the end, we'll tell you the time again. You'll have a time at your table to just talk about what was that experience of deeply sharing and listening to each other like for you. Okay? So go ahead and get started and do the introductions and then pair up around these table conversations.
I'm not. Right in my country. I am not 25. You know, at a point in life where it takes longer to heal than it used to. I'm getting for age-related issues.
So I invite you to shift to your other person if you haven't already done so. That was 10 minutes. Shift to your other person, please.
Because I know
Okay, we invite you at this point to just share at your table for a couple minutes about how that experience was. Just share at your table about the experience of listening and sharing. Just take a little time, whole table conversation, just about the experience of the conversation and listening. Okay, I invite the convention to come back to order, please. I invite us to come back to order. I am told that my mic is a little soft. Is that correct? We are trying to get that fixed before I continue. So I'll just keep talking. Leo, if I move forward, is there anybody back there for the slides? Yep, okay. So how's that sound? A little better? Okay. Maybe it's because y'all are quiet now. Yeah. Yeah, there you, yeah. All right. Okay. Making the following appointments for this convention. Parliamentarian, I'm appointing the Reverend David Sibley to be parliamentarian. And we need some slides changed. Following individuals are appointed and currently serving in leadership positions for committees of this convention. Parliamentarian, as said, is David Sibley. Committee on Constitution and Canons, the chair is J. Scott Miller. Credentials is Jeremy Armstrong. Committee on Dispatch of Business is Reverend James Metzer. Committee on Elections, Reverend Deacon Glenda Emsall. Committee on Resolutions, Reverend Bill Osborne. Committee on Nominations, Reverend Linda Young and Sandy Peck. And Worship Committee is the Dean, assisted by her able crew. Chair requests the Committee on Credentials to submit a report.
The Committee on Credentials reports that the number of clergy entitled to vote is 48. The number of clergy excused is 6. The number of clergy with vote present is 31. A quorum of voting clergy is 22. The number of clergy with seat and voice only registered is 8. Number of congregations entitled to representation is 32. And a quorum of congregations entitled to representation is 17. The number of congregations represented by delegates is 29. Number of delegates registered present is 61. Quorum of delegates is 36. Number of lay persons with seat and voice only registered is 3.
Chair now recognizes Chair of Dispatch for a motion.
On behalf of the Committee on Dispatch, I move that the convention accept the report from the Credentials Committee and waive taking a roll call vote of the delegates present.
Hearing no objection, the report from the Committee on Credentials is accepted and a roll call vote of delegates present is waived. I nominate the following individuals to be elected at this convention as officers of convention. These individuals are elected annually by convention upon nomination of the bishop. Chair nominates Mike Church as Chancellor of the Diocese. The chair nominates Kathy Lamphere. That might be a surprise to you, Kathy, as Registrar of the Diocese. Especially since there was a different name in your script, but that was wrong. Okay. And the chair recognizes Chair of Dispatch for a motion.
The Committee on Dispatch of Business moves that the bishop's nominations for officers of convention be elected
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Dispatch.
The Committee on Dispatch of Business moves the adoption of the scheduled order of business as printed, starting on page 3 in your convention booklet.
It's been moved by the Committee on Dispatch to adopt the scheduled order of business as printed in the convention materials. These were already also emailed out. This requires a 2/3 majority. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Dispatch.
The Committee on Dispatch of Business moves the adoption of the special rules of order. Copies were emailed to all clergy and delegates prior to the convention and can be found starting on page 5 of your convention booklet.
It's been moved by the Committee on Dispatch of Business to adopt the special rules of order for this convention. This also requires a 2/3 majority. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Chair now recognizes Chair of Dispatch of Business for an announcement about the process of making announcements during this convention.
The process for making announcements is simple. If you have announcements for the whole body can be made if you write it out on a slip of paper and place it in the basket up here on the dais. The announcement will then be read at such times throughout the day, usually before we break.
Thank you. We have some clergy with changes since the last time we met. Newly ordained into this diocese is Reverend Katie Shedlock. And then change in status. So clergy belong to a diocese, not a congregation. And we are delighted to welcome the Reverend Ashley Mather and Anne Rivera Georgescu to be canonically resident. That means they belong to us now. Okay. And Mary Dahl moved from the Diocese of Spokane to the Diocese of Arizona. It is with great sadness that we mark, and we will mark again, the deaths of Brent Tilson, Kelly Balabanis, Marge Stanley, and Carrie Perking. And then I want to highlight, I've got some, in terms of diocesan staff, I want to just make sure that you all know who are on the diocesan staff, because we have some new folks. And so Susan Cleveley is Canon for the Ordinary. And actually, why don't you stand up when I call your name? Caroline McCall, Canon for Congregational Development. Alex Flanagan joined us April 1, new Canon for Camp and Youth. Andrea Oetman is a Canon for Discipleship. Tiffany Bates sitting back there is my new admin and the communications officer. And Mallory Davis has moved to the grant program manager for our what we call Lily Grant 2, or our Lily Congregations, Thriving Congregations Grant. Jeremy Armstrong is out front doing registration. He's the office administrator and he manages Paulson House. Sarah Nowak joined us October 1. She's our new financial officer. Kathy Lamphere is our archivist, and Ted Nitz is the archdeacon. So thank you all very much. We have canons for regional mission in each region. They're appointed at convention, and we have some new appointees this year. So on the Northeast, Jonathan Myers. Southeast, we can actually hold your applause till the end, that's okay. Southeast is Kathy Kelly. Southwest is James Schmetzer, and Northwest is Ashley Mather. So those are our new canons. And that was the cue for nominations to have been approaching the dais. Chair now recognizes the Chair of Committee on Nominations, or chairs, for a report on the election of the Secretary of Convention.
Thank you, Bishop. On behalf of the Committee on Nominations, that's weird. There is one candidate for the position of Secretary of Convention, the Reverend Catherine Lamphere.
Are there any further nominations for Secretary of Convention? Seeing none, I declare nominations are closed. And without objection, there being sufficient nominees for all offices to be filled in this election, the nominee is officially declared elected by this convention. Chair recognizes the Chair of Committee on Nominations for a report on nominations of candidates for standing committee. On the slide in front of you, you'll see the basic duties of the standing committee.
The following names were received in nomination by the deadline posted. For Standing Committee, the Reverend Jan Griffin for a 4-year term, Pia Longinati for a 4-year term.
We elect one clergy, one lay every year. Are there other nominations from the floor? Without objection, there being sufficient nominees for all of the offices to be filled in this election, the nominees are declared elected by this convention. Chair recognizes, we're not done. I mean, great, you can clap. Sorry, I shouldn't tell you not to. Chair recognizes Chair Committee on Nominations for a report on the nominations of candidates for Diocesan Council. And on the slide, you'll see the basic duties of the council.
The following names were received in nomination by the deadline posted. The Reverend Colby Roberts and Mr. Wayne Hawks.
Are there any nominations from the floor? Without objection, there being sufficient nominees for all offices to be filled in this election, nominees are declared elected by this convention. Thank you, Linda and Sandy, for the work of the Committee on Nominations. Linda, you may tell your elections committee that they no longer have to do anything. Absolutely. So the following are appointed to Diocesan Council for a 1-year term in accordance with Canon 4.2.1d. Reverend Linda Bartholomew, Teresa Great, and Dan Bernardo. The bishop nominates, and the convention is requested to ratify the members of the Disciplinary Board. Disciplinary Board are the board that handles issues of clergy misconduct. Pursuant to Canon 10.2.1, members of the Diocesan Disciplinary Board and their duties are displayed overhead. We hope the Disciplinary Board never has to meet. The Reverend Linda Young, Katie Longinati, and Kelly Cliff for a 3-year term. Chair now recognizes Chair of Dispatch for a motion.
The dispatch of business moves that the bishop's nominations to the disciplinary board be ratified.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Subject to the approval of this convention, I appoint J. Scott Miller to serve as the church attorney for the calendar year 2025 in accordance with Canon 10.2.6. And I recognize Chair of Dispatch for a motion.
The Committee on Dispatch of Business moves that the bishop's appointment of Scott Miller as the church attorney for the calendar year 2024 be ratified.
25, that was a mistake.
2025 be ratified.
It was a mistake in the script, not Jane making a mistake. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Our intake officer, the Reverend Canon Christy Phillip. The intake officer is a person that is notified upon if there is an allegation of clergy misconduct. So God willing, you never have to call Christy, but if you do, she is the one to call. All right, Convention elects the members of the Commission on Ministry upon nomination of the bishop according to Canon 5.2. 3 members are nominated in each convention. The Commission on Ministry is an advisory body. The duties are on the slide in front of you. And the current nominees are the Reverend Kathy Lamphere, Reverend Deacon James Dedeaux, and Margaret Drum. Chair now recognizes Chair of Dispatch for a motion.
The Committee on Dispatch of Business moves that the bishop's nominations to the Commission on Ministry be elected.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Bill Osborne, you need to be coming to the dais. Chair recognizes Chair of Resolutions Committee to report on resolutions submitted timely prior to convention.
Thank you, Bishop. The committee reports that the only resolution before us at this time is from the Constitution and Canons Committee, and no other resolutions were submitted in a timely fashion.
This is the last call for resolutions. Any resolutions that were not submitted in a timely fashion prior to convention may be submitted now, but any new resolution submitted at this point may only be read by the title of the proposed resolution, and the convention must agree by a 2/3 vote to take up the resolution. Are there any further resolutions from the floor? If not, I declare that the time to submit resolutions is now closed. Bill?
I have more words to say.
Yeah, pick line 319.
Top of the page.
I'm supposed to explain that the resolutions of courtesy may be submitted to me in writing, and that they will be proposed and adopted by the end of convention.
Thank
So
you.
if there are any courtesy elements for the courtesy resolution, let me know. And may I also invite Marilyn Wilder and Jan Griffin to join me in that crafting of those resolutions.
You're doing that in front of everybody else so they can't say no? Is that
They
what I-
cannot say no.
Okay, just checking. Thank you to the Committee on Resolutions, which apparently now includes Marilyn Wilder and Jan Griffin. And the chair calls on Reverend Peter Kalunian to talk about the Global Mission Committee. Peter.
Good afternoon. At your baptism, one of the prayers for the candidate reads as follows: send this person into the world in witness to your love. And what was your response? Lord, hear our prayer. The Global Mission Alliance, a ministry of the Episcopal Church, is here to help you to fulfill that call and to spread the good news of Jesus Christ in the world. Some of us have responded to that call by providing construction and medical help to Honduras, Belize, and other places. Some have participated in pilgrimages, spiritual growth, some by tutoring students in developing countries, some by praying that Jesus' love may be heard throughout the world, some by contributing to various missionary groups. We, the members of the Global Mission Alliance, are here to help you fulfill your call. The members are the Reverend Linda Bartholomew. You raise your hand, Linda. You're here somewhere. There she is. The Reverend Bill Osborne. Bill, there you are. Wayne Siren. and myself, the Reverend Peter Kalunian. We are here to help you to get engaged in global experience and ascend into the world and witness to Jesus' love. Soon you will receive information from us. It'll be sent to the church about how you can respond. Jesus is calling. Are you ready to respond? Some of us have had some conversation about beginning maybe with a team that may be not as threatening as going overseas. You know, we just had some devastating hurricanes in the south east of the country. How many of you would be interested in going to help with the cleanup? Well, you'll be hearing from us soon about that. And of course, from there, we'll also be talking about further missionary opportunities. So if you have a chance, talk to one of these people who I just mentioned and share your stories, your experience, and what you would like to fulfill, how you would like to fulfill your call. Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, Peter. Sir calls on Reverend Canon Andrea. Sorry, not Reverend.
Hello, friends. I am Canon Andrea Oetman. I am taking my grandmother's name, and so this is a new name for me. It is my pleasure to let you all know that one of the pieces of our convention together is that we are going to have 3 different congregational stories during our time together. And Aaron, feel free to make your way up towards the podium as I'm speaking. We are going to hear from 3 different congregations across our diocese about ways that they have listened deeply, ways they have listened to God, ways they've listened to folks in their communities, and out of that listening, ways that they have responded. So it is my great pleasure to introduce and welcome Aaron Lloefelbein. Aaron works at St. John's in Ephrata. He's the music director there and has been serving in different capacities in our diocese since 2017. St. John's in Ephrata is actively loves and serves the folks in Ephrata and is the only LGBTQ plus welcoming and affirming congregation in that town. Thank you for being here and sharing with us, Aaron. We look forward to hearing.
Thank you, Andrea. I came to St. John's in 2017 from a church where I had to hide part of who I was in order to belong. If you don't know this about me already, I'm gay. I came out in 2019 to the congregation of St. John's. They were the very first people to hear me say the words, "I'm gay." Their reaction was joyful and celebratory and filled with questions about when they would get to meet this cute guy I'd started a relationship. And by the way, he's sitting back there. Wave to us, Joe. They welcomed him too. My experience back then was that of being heard and accepted for who I am. And I am almost certain that I have heard God say to these people that this welcome to people like me is a gift. It's not the norm in our neck of the woods. And I wanted other queer people to feel that welcome too. So every time Father Jerome or Deacon James or anyone at the church gives me a chance to talk, which can be a dangerous thing, sometimes I preach. I preach about once a month as a lay preacher. I remind them about this gift of welcome that we have to give to the LGBTQ community. This year we received some money from the diocese that we are to use in evangelism and outreach. And as we were as a group trying to discern what it was that we would do with the funds, we prayed that prayer that we've all been praying throughout the diocese this year. that talks about being called into holy community, listening and loving like God does, and embodying the good news. Well, as we listened, our community spoke. Sponsors and vendors and parade entries were kind of desperately needed for our town's local Sage and Sun summer festival. And about the same time, the Episcopal Church at large released a new version of the shield with pride flag colors on it. And we kind of thought, oh, that's interesting timing. So we made some banners that said in both English and Spanish, because another community that we're trying to be really intentionally welcoming is those that speak Spanish in our area. There's a lot of folks who do. So we made a banner that said, loving, liberating, life-giving in both English and Spanish. It included ways to contact us. It included that pride shield on the lower left or the lower right corner. And we marched in the parade. On the same day that the bishop was the grand marshal of our pride parade here in Spokane, we were marching with our little banner with our church's name and the pride shield on it in Ephrata. One of our parishioners joined us in the parade, and one of the things about our congregation that you should know is that the history of our congregation is just filled with people who have been civil servants. So Father Jerome, the Civil Air Patrol, he's been running that for a long time. He's got a great connection there. We have people who work as teachers, as bus drivers. My day job is I'm a librarian. We're serving our community all the time. And so as we marched in this parade, all the kids, and we were throwing candy too, that helps. As we marched in the parade, my Storytime kids know me as Library Aaron. So all throughout the parade, we're hearing, Library Aaron, and we're wearing our little pride flags, and and then Rosa, our lunch lady at one of our schools, lunch lady, Library Aaron. And so that was a touching moment that we were being recognized for who we are in our community while wearing the colors of our church. We had a vendor booth at the fair, or at the festival, which was really fun. It was the only thing that was there for free for kids to do. We were also the only church that participated in the festival. And it generated a lot of conversation, a lot of really good conversation. We had also prepared a brochure to give out to people who had questions about the church. We had parishioners there to talk to people and pray with people if they needed it. And we sponsored the festival. We gave some money to just so that it could happen. And in return for that, they let us put one of our banners up on the stage, and it stayed there the whole weekend. Loving, liberating, life-giving, and the pride shield with English and Spanish. It was a really good, even when we couldn't physically be there, it was a good reminder that, hey, we're here in this community. There were some results from that. We were approached by a person in the community who is pretty well known as an avowed atheist. She does not like church at all. She's got reasons for that. But she and her kids are part of the LGBTQ community. And they saw us in town being loud and proud about who we are and loud and proud about how we love the Lord. And they asked if they could use our church because it was one of the only places they said in town that they felt safe to gather. And their desire was to create some community for LGBTQ people who feel like they're left out from every other part of our community. So what we've done is we've partnered with them. We meet once a month. It's just for LGBTQ people. It's kind of a vetted situation. We have to kind of know because we don't feel fully safe. But at the church, they feel very safe. So we gather around books, around games, around just being together in community. And it struck me that we've been praying this whole time for God to call us into holy community. And for someone who doesn't even follow God to hear that call as well and to gather people in, I don't know. I'm getting a little verklempt here thinking about it. So thank you for listening. And thank you to the bishop and to the diocese for helping us to make that happen.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. Friends, remarkably enough, we are slightly ahead of schedule. So I'm going to take the privilege of the chair and do a little more work. So part of that is to just inform you a little bit about what's going to happen, right? And so there will, after I talk some, we'll have any formal announcements. We'll go on break. The break will end promptly at 3:30, right? That clock is wrong. Do not look at that clock. During break, there will be snacks, water and coffee and tea, lots of shameless commerce, which will help keep you warm or cool, or a hat, or whatever you need is out there for purchase. And there's even free stuff. But when it comes to meals, right, you don't have to pick anything up. But if you want to watch your stuff, right, when we leave for Evensong, you're going to have to take your stuff with you. If you leave it here, the assumption is you're claiming that seat. I feel free to leave anything you wouldn't mind being stolen. I mean, that's just, it's a public space. We can't guarantee that somebody won't wander through. All right. The setup for the meals, the buffet is actually going to be in the guild hall so that you'll go out into the guild hall and come back in through these doors. We tried to make it so there's more space in here. There will be a drink station over there. You were given drink tickets. Those drink tickets work at the drink station. It's seltzers, soft drinks, alcoholic beverages, if you're old enough, etc. After dinner, we have the showing of the movie, The Philadelphia 11, which is of the first ordained women of the Episcopal Church. That'll actually be in the nave. Okay. We try to keep people safe here, which means we always try to say that people with food allergies go through the line first. It's a little more complicated this evening when we're coming back from Evensong. So if you are a food allergy person, we invite you to not do socializing after Evensong, but to come up and go through the line, or, you know, so that people are not waiting on you. I know that's a little awkward, right? But just, if you are not a food allergy person, you can walk a little slower. Are there any questions about any of that? Is there anything else I can crank through? We're going to go to text slide 26. We're jumping ahead in our scheduled order of business, and we are going to do a Constitution and Canons resolution. And the chair recognizes not the chair of Constitution and Canons, but somebody in his stead to present a resolution from the Constitution and Canons Committee.
I am not J. Scott Miller. I do not have a law license. Don't make anyone think that I do. However, I can point you to page 7 in your convention materials. My name is David Sibley. I serve as the rector of St. Paul's in Walla Walla, and I am a member of the Constitution and Canons Committee. At our last diocesan convention, we pushed through a whole bunch of canonical reforms, including one first reading of a constitutional change. The Constitution is the grounding governance document of our diocese. As such, we cannot change it in one convention. It has to take 2 rounds of approval, and in the second round, it has to be approved, I think 2/3 in a vote by orders. With those changes, one of the changes that was proposed to the Constitution that passed overwhelmingly on a first vote is the one that is in front of you, indicating that the convention shall prescribe the method of nomination for election to the episcopate by canon. The idea here is, knowing that the election of a bishop is a weighty matter for the diocese, we wanted to remove the option for us to act by resolution to specify the manner of electing a bishop. The idea being, we don't want to be caught up in the whims or fears or anxieties of a moment when we're going through an election. The time to think about how we're doing it is before an election comes, not right in the heat of the moment when a bishop announces their retirement, or the bishop receives a $200 million bequest and decides we need another bishop, or anything like that. So the idea of this, if passed on its second reading, is it just slows the nomination process for election to the episcopate in this diocese, such that it will always be held and governed by our canons, not by a single convention acting on a 50% plus one majority.
Chair recognizes Chair of Dispatch for a motion.
Pardon me.
Page 12.
I'm getting there. The Committee on Dispatch of Business moves to consider Resolution 2024-01.
Motion is in order. This is as David said, this is a constitutional amendment. It is the second reading. It is 2024.
It is
It is this year,
2024.
2024.
because No, it is 2024.
It's 2023 in the book.
Oh, I see.
Oh, in the booklet. In front of us, it says 24. So, yep. This is the second reading of constitutional amendment. So voting has to take place in this way. Clergy who are eligible to vote only, followed by delegates who are allowed to vote only, followed by the bishop. Okay? Clergy eligible to vote only. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Delegates eligible to vote, please, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Bishop concurs. Resolution is passed.
Woo-hoo. That was
And are there any announcements?
There is one announcement. Our Diocesan Community of Hope is hosting a breakfast tomorrow morning. Those who have participated in Community of Hope training or in a Community of Hope circle are invited. And if you're interested in Community of Hope, which is a pastoral care training and support group, you are invited as well. The breakfast will be in the Guild Room here at the Cathedral from 7:30 to 9 a.m. tomorrow. Any questions can be directed to Canon Andrea Oetman.
And let's go on a short break. We are back in our seats ready to go at 3:30. Thank you all.